guys, welcome to LutaPod.
All right, so LutaPod is a space for young women and girls to discuss and share their thoughts, views, and experiences with their interaction in sport. So the aim is to positively influence how women and girls are viewed and received in sport by the wider public, as well as encourage young women to participate in sporting activities.
Yes, and today's the final episode of this season of LutaPods. Sad times, but don't worry, season 2 coming. Yeah.
Soon.
But yeah, we're just gonna summarize everything that we've done and the experience we've had, the guests we've had, and just what we've taken from it and what we hope you all have taken from this podcast. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so it's just like a reflection, to be fair.
Yeah,
Like, it was the first time that we did this, and it was quite interesting. Like, I personally loved it. I loved the fact that it was like a women's only podcast and like associated with sports, which you don't usually see. And the fact that we had like athletes from different like backgrounds, you know, football, boxing, MMA, Muay Thai, even judo, jiu-jitsu, you know. So it was really, really nice to hear different people's perspectives, and especially like how we had some people that weren't doing it at Fight for Peace and they were doing it outside in like different areas. So it's like bringing it together.
Yeah.
It was like really nice.
I agree. And like the nice progression that we had with all the different guests and all of their niches on like what made them get into sports, for me was very significant, because I think it's important to understand everyone's journeys and the fact that it's not the same. Regardless of your gender, it's important to just see and be inspired by people's stories. I know that's a form of motivation for me, but yeah.
No, for real, for real. I think it's like because we both take part in sports or, you know, do it at a level. So it was just really nice to see other women's experiences in sports, because I don't really like, there was no way of me talking to people like girls about sports, because there was no girls in sports, you know. So because now I'm a coach, right? So it's like now I'm seeing such an increase of girls in sports, but when I was training I didn't have that, you know. So
I remember.
I didn't have that, and it's nice to hear like their experiences and how like, the younger generation especially are just more involved within it. And even when talking to Star, who is the older generation, and comparing how different it was in the two generations, it kind of like was quite interesting, and it makes me proud of how far we've come.
And it puts things into perspective. Like, you get to see the whole progression happen with even the way women are perceived, the fact that we have more freedom to be able to be in environments where before we'd feel uncomfortable in. And I feel like it's also important to acknowledge that Fight for Peace is actively trying to make this a norm more than like taboo. Like, you know, oh, I don't want to be involved with like sports or stuff because it's that male dominated. Whereas now, like, the cultures really push you to be there. Even if you're the only girl there, who cares? Like, it's not as deep as our brains make it out to be. Like, even when we saw Katiza and she was talking about all the different sports she does, I think it put things into perspective for me, because when I was her age, I was not thinking like that. I was thinking like, I could never do those sports. Like, it's not a thing for me, because what usually happens is you feel overpowered by the men unintentionally, because you're the only girl or one of the only girls in the room. And like, it's nice to see that she's still very motivated to want to be able to like compete, doing all of these sports, but also prioritizing her studies. Because I feel like a lot of the time people make it seem like you can't do both at the same time. No, like, it's not mutually exclusive at all.
No, 100%. Like I was saying to like Maria, because I started training when I was doing my GCSEs and it wasn't serious. So when I did start doing it during that time, I wasn't training. I was like, I'm too stressed, I can't do it. I used to be in the library. I was not working smart. I used to come to like Maria and cry to her, whatever. And then compared to A-levels, I was coming more regularly. I used to train in the morning, like twice. I used to do it twice, 3 times like a day, you know, whilst doing A-levels. And my results were so much better in A-levels and GCSEs because in fact sports actually helps you with your education.
That stress and all of that.
Yeah, but If I were to tell you, like, who was your favorite? Like, everyone was amazing in their own way.
I
but
don't have favorites.
I know you don't
guys.
have favorites. But
That's not me. I love everyone equally.
Stop lying. Stop lying. You're a teacher. You're a school teacher. And teachers always have favorites. I'm not saying favorites.
I do, but
See, I'm not saying
I'm not gonna say
favorites
it. Yeah.
in like
I get what you
people,
mean.
but as in the conversations. Like, what was your favorite conversation out of all of them?
I'm not even joking. It's really hard because everyone. If we were basing who my favorite was off of the fact that everyone's stories were similar or the sports they did were similar, then I feel like I would be able to pick. But it's the fact that everyone has their own unique journeys and their own unique perspective. I'm not even joking. Like, if I had a favorite, I would make it more than obvious. But I learned something with every single one of them. I love the way Angel articulated herself. She was able to put things into perspective in terms of doing football as a female and like the journey she had to go through. And then Khatiza, being one of the youngest that we had on the podcast, like, she spoke about things to do with her GCSEs and then doing all of these other sports. Genuinely speaking, like, it's hard. And then like, she wasn't even into sports to begin with. Like, come on, that one was different.
That's
like,
weird. I would not have
nice.
expected that from her, you know. I would not have expected that from her. I genuinely thought she was into sports since young. But the fact that she despised it and PE was her worst subject. And that she's such an academic and PE will be the one that she'll be like failing in. It's crazy to see that, you know. But no, you're right.
And then Star, given like mother, like, I'm here to take care of you guys and I really want you to do well. Like, come on, how can you? I couldn't.
No, I know.
But what about you?
No, so what I'm saying, I think all of them in that aspect fine.
Yeah,
but
I'm not even joking, Athena. I'm not joking. I can't pick.
I know you can't, but I'm talking in terms of like, okay, let me change the question. What about what was the most insightful conversation that we had in the podcast?
I would say Star, because like with Star. Let me just fix my hijab quickly. With Star, I feel like she opened my eyes in terms of understanding that, like, there will be change, but we need to be able to push ourselves as women without feeling sorry for ourselves. And for me, that was very important because I'm pushing myself to compete, and a lot of the times we as women like to make excuses for ourselves, and without identifying as just a woman and all of this, she was able to make us understand that it's not just about the fact that you're a woman. Like, you are yourself, your unique self with your own strengths, your own weaknesses, and it's down to you to establish those without making it a thing about, oh, you know, it's okay to be like, you know, like, it was just insightful in that sense. But,
I think, like, you know, Star having the longest and the most experience, because Star fought up to like a pretty high level, and then being one of like the coaches now and one of the few minority women only coaches, she spoke a lot from like her experience, and it was very insightful. I'll be honest, it was. But I would say, like, for me, a close second.
Not the second place.
Not
I'm joking.
A very like what I found interesting, right? If we're not talking about Stars one, I found like hearing Angels only because personally, I didn't take part in any other sports but combat sports, so Muay Thai and boxing. Like that's where I was. That's where I grew up in. Well, not grew up, like, you know. That's what everything I was focused on. I was focused on that, everything, right? So when I heard like a different perspective, like in like another sport, like football, because everyone else spoke about combat sports, it was very interesting to see her experiences in a completely different sport, like a team sport, outdoor sport. Like it was very interesting, and her own barriers that she had. You know, like...
Yeah, I get you. Because even she brought to light the topics that Mael started talking about as well. And it's so weird because they weren't even in the room together, but it worked so hand in hand together. Like the whole having more male-dominated coaches than female coaches, like just things like that. And it was nice to hear it from a football perspective and to also know it's like a universal experience that a lot of women do face. And it's like not just a combat sports thing.
Exactly.
And I feel like for women that do watch or will be watching the podcast, it's nice to see that it's not just a combat sports thing, and experiences can be like a universal thing.
No, exactly, 100%, and that's what made me realize that it's not just combat sports. And even though like I had my own set thoughts on it, like thinking, okay, cool, combat sports is obviously more aggressive, it's more male dominating, like it's a one-on-one individual sport, it's very different to every other sport, but the fact that the girls still face the same issues, external barriers and the internal barriers, are like similar across everything, you know.
And and a lot of the times I feel like with girls, they think, oh, that these experiences only exist in certain things or with certain people, but it's without, let's even take sports out of the equation. Like, if you were to just have a normal one-to-one conversation with a woman, I genuinely think the experiences would still be the same. And that, I feel like, for me, I don't know for other people, would be reassuring to be like, okay, if this is something that I know I can go through in my day-to-day life or have experienced in my day-to-day life, what is actually stopping me from pushing myself out of my comfort zone, doing a sport that I haven't done before, or trying to see a different hobby that I can do without thinking that it's like a male-dominated thing, and you know, just small things like that. But yeah, it's not only just, I feel like as well, we've realised it's not only just about the sports, but it's also about the increase in participation of women overall.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, that's what's important.
And you know what's crazy is that it like lacks everywhere. Like it lacks everywhere. Like,
it's okay, patriarchy.
And it's a bit sad to see that, but obviously from before and now, we've seen a massive increase. So what do you expect to see maybe in the next 10 years time, in the next decade? We could probably see even more girls participating in sports. So obviously we're in the right path, we're on the right track, and
march of progress.
Yeah, so we should be really proud of ourselves, like of how far we come. And like what I also like realized is that when we were doing the podcast with the different guests, right, it made me like reflect on my own journey. Like I've just always been relating. Yeah, like I get that. That's why I liked our podcast, because we're not strangers. We know what we know, that we know we are expert in our field. You know where I'm coming from? Like we know what we're doing. We know what we're doing. So when we're doing the podcast about sports, we can relate to it. We can like empathize. We can sympathize. We can relate. And it was really nice to really reflect on my own journey. You know, because we never had nothing like this. Like there was no like women only podcast about sports. There was back then there was no like outreach for women only like sports, or even coming like even to engage more women coming in, you know, like women only, the female only boxing sessions that we do at Five for Peace started only like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and it was just it was proper lacking. So it's nice that like we're trying to engage more women just in different areas, like all over. So I hope we can do, I hope like other places do the same thing.
Yeah. The season 2 is even better than the first. How
real,
did you feel like when you
real.
were first like starting? I felt a bit scared, I can't lie.
I can't lie to you, yeah. Ask Kayla. I was like, do you know what? You're looking at Kayla. Like, do you know what, right? I'm not even joking. I'm not joking. I was like, here we go again.
Really?
Yeah, because like I was like, not again as in we're going to do it, as in I was like, oh, like I don't know if I want to do this. Like I was tired of being filmed all the time. If I'm honest with you guys, you've probably seen my face since I started Fight for Peace. It's like, you know, Aladdin in the background was like, should say yeah. And you know what? I was actually tired. Like I remember when Kayla first asked me, I was like, I don't know. And then I did it the first time. I even told her, okay, I'll do the first episode and then we'll change hosts every time.
Yeah, I remember that, because even for me, you were just like, oh, it's just one episode. And I was like, what is this? I came and I just got told, yeah, this is what you're doing. And I was like,
No.
What?
I mean, after I
just saw cameras everywhere and I was like, what are we doing? Because you didn't really tell me what it was.
No, I just
but
said,
I'm happy I stayed. And I actually was like, yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like, I was like, you know what? We did it. And it went actually really good. Yeah. Like, it wasn't forced. It was very flow. Like, even though we have a sheet of paper, we don't even look at it. We don't even use it. Like, we only use it, like, in the beginning. But
to
that's
just
it.
have a little understanding
Of
of
what's
what
going
it's gonna
on, but
be
then we just
about.
scrap it
But yeah,
afterwards.
because it's like even the hosts, they were so friendly, open, like
Yeah.
wanted to share their stories. It wasn't rigid, it wasn't awkward. I didn't feel at any point that I was forcing conversation. Because you know sometimes when you ask people questions, they're really blunt. They're like, yeah,
I know.
no.
I swear, and
Whatever.
that was something I was afraid of. Like, imagine if they weren't sharing their full experiences.
Yeah.
But I think one thing about the women that we were doing a podcast with, like, they are very inspirational women, you know, and they really spoke for everyone. They didn't just speak about themselves. So if you really like watched our podcast. Yeah.
Wait, why are you giving side eye to them? Because they'll be watching it. They would be watching it, no? So why are you looking at them?
No, but they might only watch the last episode about that. If you watched all of it properly,
fair enough.
you notice that they were talking. Yes, they were talking about themselves, but they were also like talking about, you know, how
we can create change.
We can create change and how it's affected just women overall in sports. And then when we were talking about what we can relate to, like menstrual cycle and the male gaze and everything like that, it was like really interesting to see that these things just co-occur every time. And now we know the issues. Like, we hope to kind of create change now. Like, this is not, we're not going to stop here. Like, just because we talk about issues, we're not just talking about issues just for the sake of talking about issues. You know, we are going to do something about this, and hopefully season 2 can do like a run up of what we're going to be doing with everything that we've learned from our guests, and hopefully create training for male sport coaches, even female coaches, like not just at Fight for Peace, but across London and different organizations, and actually teach them like what we have learned, you know, and what we realized what the main issues were when engaging women in sports. And hopefully we can make smaller changes which will end up creating a massive change.
100%.
You know?
And I feel like even though we did all of the episodes, we never really got to speak about ourselves. And like
I
our
know.
background. So maybe we could take this as an opportunity to just give a small.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna tell my whole life story.
Let's do that. Me, okay.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird. No, so obviously, I started training when I was like 14, 15, and I started competing at 16, 17, and I did it till I was like 21, 21.
Was it
21?
20, yeah.
21, yeah. And do you know what? It was such a crazy experience, you know, like I've said it so many times, but competing in boxing genuinely has changed my life.
Yeah.
Like the way my outlook on life is so different. Like what I want to do now is so different. And if it wasn't for boxing, I don't know what I'd be doing, you know, like now I'm here to change women's life through combat sports. Now, if I wasn't even boxing, would I have done that? You know, like I don't even think I would have done that. And because I wanted to compete, it was the first ever goal that I made for myself, that I said to myself, I want to be in that ring. I remember looking at that ring in the home show when I was 16 years old. I was like, I want to be on that stage right there and fight. I don't know where it came, but I just said, I need to do it. I need to do it. And literally 10 months later, I was in that ring, you know, and it was the most phenomenal feeling in the world. Like I have not felt that feeling since. Like it's still my top number one, like top experiences of my life, you know, and it made me realize that, you know what, Athena, if I put a goal onto something, I can achieve it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's just everything I've learned in boxing, I put it in different places, like the discipline, the resilience, you know, the strength, the determination, the motivation, like everything, I put it in my outside world. And it helps me like go through my own personal battles, you know, the perseverance that you go through within the ring, you end up taking it in within yourself. And that's why like I coach now, you know, like my journey of competing stopped, and now I want to kind of like express to other women how important it was for me, and I want them to I want to share it with them, and I want them to gain and learn what I've learned. And even if they didn't, I hope they learn something even better, and they take it within themselves, and they push themselves, and they believe they can put anything that they set their mind to, you know.
100%.
About
And
you?
that's why you're such a good coach.
Oh, stop it.
Because, like, come on, you've experienced it yourself, so you know what you're talking about, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like even in the girl sessions, I see it. The females trust you a lot. All the women there trust you. They see you as an inspiration. Like, they're motivated by you and your words, because it's one thing to hear it from someone who's never experienced what they're telling you to learn, but then another from someone who's done it and can tell you that you can do it too.
Yeah.
So it's nice, like, to just see that.
Yeah, like it was like obviously the coaches that we have, they're male coaches, and they don't understand when I sent you the video of the amateur fight between the two girls,
Yeah,
and we were like analyzing the fight, right?
yeah.
And you said to me that, you know what, the way they fight is very different to the way
I'm so
men
sorry.
fight in
It
amateur
is
boxing.
so different.
And now because of that, right, and
Yeah.
some of the coaches, obviously there's a lot more men that they have coached than females. Some of the coaches who have tons of experience probably have only coached one girl in their lifetime. And that's why, like, it's so important to have like a female coach to explain like how it's like as a woman. Like, we fight differently, we move differently, we train differently, and I feel like that's why I feel like it's such a big deal for more females to come into coaching, which is why I wanted to do it, you know. And like, when I tell you, because you're an upcoming boxer, I keep telling you, like, it's going to be hard, it's going to be different,
Yeah,
like,
it is hard.
and hopefully our training will make men understand like the different types of training you need to do, and the different ways on approaching women in boxing. Like, it's different. But yeah, tell us about you.
I don't even know where to start. Like, what do I say?
Okay, why don't you say when you first started?
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
okay.
how you got into it?
I literally, it was through Nathaniel. Nathaniel was my friend from secondary school, and then he posted on his story something about boxing. And I've always been into sports. Like, I jumped from netball to athletics to handball to basketball, and then I went back to netball. Then my mum was like, "Yeah, you're done. Like, stop." And then I took a break. And then when I took a break, Nathaniel posted that on his story, and I was like, I actually miss doing any type of. And the thing is, I can jump from one sport to another, and I know that all it takes is enough training for me to be able to be good at that sport, because I love grasping things very quickly. Like, you know, whenever you coach me, that's what you always say. But when I came, I remember the first day I came, and then I was training with you guys.
Yeah,
it was so like, well, how old was I? 16,
Yeah,
17?
16.
I don't even remember. But yeah, I came. It was different. It was hard. It was challenging. I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to come next session.
That's not
I was contemplating my life after that first session. And then I came, like, I kept coming to the sessions, and I kept improving. Like, it was nice because it felt fulfilling at the end. But I took my A-levels very seriously, so I vanished. And then I moved out for uni, and then I moved out for 3 years. I finished last year, summer. I graduated, and then I moved back to London, and then I came back. But even coming back, it was like, oh, can I do it again? But I just remember being at Fight for Peace, like, the environment was so family orientated, and I just wanted to come back, like, just from that feeling, and then just training normal boxing. And then I came to the home show, and I remember standing next to Kenny. So funny. I was standing next to him, and I was like, I want to be in that ring. I literally said the exact same thing as you. I said, I want to be in that ring. And then he looked at me, he was like, what, you want to fight? Like, you want to compete? And I was like, actually, no, actually. And then I took it back. I was like, actually, no. And he was like, no, like, I can help you. Like, he fully said he was going to help me. And then I was like, wait, are you serious? And then I remember going up to him and telling him, like, oh, tell me why I should push myself to compete. I mean, this was the thing,
This
yeah.
is so funny.
this was the funny thing. He turned around to me. He's like, I'm not meant to tell you that you should compete. Like, you should be coming to me telling me why you should compete. And not gonna lie, that made me put things into perspective, because it was a thing where I was like, yeah, not gonna lie, that is true. Like, why don't I go up to you asking you, like, tell me why I should compete? Like, he was meant to be telling me to get into the ring when I'm the one that's gonna be fighting if I want to compete. And then I went back inside the ring, not in the ring, but like, you know, where everyone was sitting. And then I was standing next to him again, and I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do it. Like, I really, really want to do it. And then I told you the next day, because I saw you after, because we were training on Saturday, I think. Or I don't even know when it was. It was Monday. And then I told you, and you were like, seriously? Like, you know, you should, whatever. And then I kept going from saying, yeah, I am, to no, I'm not. I'm the most
so
indecisive
long, probably
person.
for a good 3 months. She was like, yes, no, yeah, I want to compete. Message me, I don't want to compete no more.
I don't want to compete.
Why? Okay,
like,
no, I do want to compete. Like,
and it was a thing where it got to a point where Emmanuel started realizing that when I started coming to the 6 o'clock sessions, that my fitness was actually a lot better in whenever I was doing the sessions. And I remember him coming up to me after you had a conversation with him, and I had a conversation with Kenny and Emmanuel, saying like, actually, I might want to compete and you. And then after that whole indecisive, like moving back and forth, Emmanuel came up to me and he was like, so when do you want to start 7 o'clock, like competitive sessions? And I was like, not anytime soon, like denying it. And he'd come to me every week, like, guys, he'd be there like nearly every week just saying to me like, when are you ready, because I'm waiting for you to tell me you're ready. And then that reminded me of what Kenny said, like, why are you coming to me? And then after you came up to me and you were like, oh, I spoke to Emmanuel, like, you're starting 7 o'clock from next week. And you remember my reaction? I was like,
well, I came up to you and I told you doing
you told
it.
me, because you were like, yeah, me and Emmanuel had a conversation. You're starting competitive sessions from next week, 7 o'clock, yeah. And I remember looking at you and I was like, Athena, are you serious?
I'm like, yeah.
And you were like, yeah, you have no choice, like, you're going, like, proper pushing me. One thing about Athena, she's not gonna take no for an answer. So she was like, you're going, you're not gonna embarrass me.
Yeah, don't embarrass me.
After I basically pushed for you to get to 7 o'clock. And the thing was, Emmanuel was so open to it. So that kind of made me feel a bit optimistic about it, because it was like, you know, to convince the coaches to put you in 7 o'clock is a lot as it is.
Yeah.
Even like whenever you tell me, like, you and the coaches, like all the coaches come together and you guys all talk, it's not easy to be like, yeah, you're gonna be in the 7 o'clock. Like, you actually have to prove yourself. So I felt like, okay, I'm gonna take this as a compliment and I'll actually be there. And my first session, hey, it was a lot.
It was different.
It was a lot. It was different. But now I come every single day. Like, I train 5 days in Fight for Peace, and then 1 day in your sessions on a Saturday in the evening, and then I do my runs. Like, it's proper intense. I train like all the time. And if I don't train for 1 day, Athena,
that's what I'm saying.
Tell her what I told. Tell them what I told.
So
I get so
emotional.
emotional.
She is so upset. And I'm like, no, but that's the thing. Like, you remind me of the way, like, I used to train. Even ask Aladdin.
Aladdin can't talk.
Even ask Aladdin, like you remind me of me. Like, I used to genuinely train like 3 times a day, 5 times a week. Yeah. And COVID was the worst. COVID, I was still training outside. Like, I didn't care if it was raining. I was still training outside. That when they said you can go outside once alone for a run or do it, I was doing that. I was doing calisthenics. I just couldn't. And when I see you, Asmaa, the way you drive, your drive and everything really, really reminds me of like how I used to be, because the reason why I was training 3 times a day was because I just always wanted to improve. Because we're so self-critical about ourselves. And then this again links to us being women, because it's like we are so self-critical about ourselves in what we do, in anything that we do. And then you see men, they're like, yeah, I can come train once every 3 months.
The confidence you guys,
I'm the guy.
I'm men like, have, what? I want to have that confidence.
I swear,
I'm not joking. And it's a compliment. Like, sometimes I just look at the guys in the competitive sessions with me and I'm like, I beg, give me what you have, because I don't have that. I get told to go and spar and I have to mentally prepare myself for 10 minutes.
They are like, I want to go, hands up.
Yeah,
like, I want to do it.
And you can see the anxiety in my face before I go into that ring. I'm always so scared. And then I have to compose myself because I don't have a choice. It's either I stand there and let myself get punched up, or I actually do what I need to do. But they have different type of confidence. Like,
They do, and but that's the thing. Like that's another thing that's like I feel like that lacks a lot of women in like sports is the lack of self-belief. We do
Yeah.
not believe in ourselves, and it's actually so upsetting. And I just wonder where the hell did it come from? Like maybe it was the
I don't even
patriarchal
know.
society
Maybe
from
because
like
we're just really
decades
hormonal.
ago.
I don't know.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know the
but,
biology behind all
But
of
that's
this.
the thing. Like this is what I'm trying to say, Asma. Like even the difference between me and you has it what we're 22 now. So when I started was say 18, 19, 20, 21. So literally 5 years later, I've seen a massive change already. When 5 years ago, when I wanted to compete, I had no one supporting me. I had zilch. I had no one. It took me I had to train like for a good 7 months before I could get into the 7 o'clock competitive session. I couldn't get into that easily. The fact that you were able to get in because you had coaches that believed in you was like you're so lucky, and you shouldn't take it for granted. I had to work my bum off basically to actually even make the head coach even see me, to even notice me. And then even then they were still questionable, and they were like, are you sure, like can she actually do it? Like they were very against it, like as in they thought I wouldn't be able to do it. But I had to prove it to them so much. And it's the fact that now 5 years later, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You don't need to prove yourself the way I had to prove myself. And that's the thing, like I don't know like where that belief came in, but I said I can do it. I don't know what happened. Like I was like, yeah, I need to be there. I can do it. Like I just at that moment, I didn't care what anyone was saying. I didn't care what anyone's views. I didn't care what my parents were saying. Nothing. I was like, I want to do it. Like no one can stop it. Like I have to do it. And that's why even when coaches were like to me, like, are you sure she can do it? Or they won't even take me seriously. Even when I got to the 7 o'clock, they didn't even take me seriously for the first 4 months, you know?
Yeah.
It was really, really hard. Like, it was really hard. But eventually, I think I was...
You basically walked so we can run.
Oh!
That was so cringe!
Oh my God, but that's at 5 for Peace though. That's at 5 for Peace. So we are only talking about 5 for Peace. We don't know how other gyms work.
Yeah, I've not been to any other gym.
But I
My loyalties lie with 5 for Peace.
But the thing is though, side-eye. However, when I realized that other gyms, like, is a lot more different. Like, especially with how 5 for Peace was like other gyms had a lot more females, were a lot more open to female boxers, but then you also had other gyms who were against it. So it's all a bit of a mix and match in it. And I'll be honest, 5 for Peace, I'll probably put it in the category of where it was like they didn't want to starting off they weren't really for like the whole like females, but eventually now they are, and they got about like 3 upcoming female boxers like within, like you guys will all fight in the same season, which is amazing. And I don't think 5 for Peace has ever had like three girls at the same time. It was only last time was just me and Amy at the same time, and I'm
actually not as scared as I was before. I don't know why, like, it's maybe because I'm putting in the work, but I'd always, like, show that I wasn't confident, or that I was, like, a bit scared, in the sense where, like, I don't know if I could, like, I would always say, I don't know if I can do it, I don't know if I want to do it, I don't know. And then you'd always tell me, okay, well, take a break and come back to me later. They'd be like, yeah, I want to do it. But now I'm not that scared. Like, not that I'm not scared, I'm not afraid of myself doing bad anymore. I'm not scared that I'm going to do bad. I don't know. No. I don't want to jinx it.
No, listen, Asmaa, like, you'll be so fine. Like, the biggest step you've taken was just making the decision.
Yeah.
You know, it was the hardest and it was the longest, and you made it. And I'm going to tell you this, I'm not going to make you take the left direction. You're going to stick to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure.
And then next time we come back, I'll be like, yeah, guys, I had my first bout.
Actually, here's my medals, here's my trophies. But yeah, no. So going back to LutaPod, why do you think it's important to have like this important like space for women, like this whole space that we've created through LutaPod?
I think not even in the direction or the sense that it's only for women. I think it's important for men, because it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, we should do this, we should do that, but to have more representation also forcefully, not in a negative force, but in like makes the environment more inclusive for men and for women. The whole idea of there not being an elephant in the room when like conversations about women competing comes up, you know, to make things which were not normal or taboo before are the norm now, like I said in the beginning. I think that's what it is about, and to pave the way for the younger generation of women and men, you know, because a lot of the times it's about breaking barriers and breaking generational curses, breaking all of these ways of thinking, these stereotypical views, and it comes from us. And I always say stuff like that. If you want to see change, you need to change within yourself first. I can't sit here and say, yeah, I'm all about being part of LutaPods and talking about women empowerment, and then
when you're not
behind closed doors I'm like, yeah, I'm not competing that. I don't even do sports. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't do any of that. Like, it was just, it's hypocritical and it's negative. It's like regressing rather than progressing. But yeah, what about you?
I feel like there's like so many things, but I think like it's just, it's important for men specifically, but I feel like it's important for us to realize that there are people who went through similar journeys, because especially in combat sports, it's lonely. It's very lonely. Any individual sport can be lonely.
Yeah, when it's not teams.
If it's not a team sport, it's lonely.
Yeah.
And yes, you come in, train, you have a community there, but it's lonely. You got to do your runs yourself. You go inside that ring yourself. You win by yourself. Do you know where I'm coming from? Like, it's very lonely. So having this space to actually be able to even like communicate with other female athletes is so important, so we can learn and we can realize that, you know what I'm going through is not weird. It's not abnormal. It's normal, but because there's a lack of women, I didn't know, you know. So having these conversations, like, it's so important for us to realize that, wow, we're not going through this alone. It happens everywhere. I'm not the only one that's facing these type of issues. And then regarding with men, like men really need to like watch this. Like, if I were to make a training program, to teach men, this will be one of the like podcasts they need to watch. I'll be like, further recommended learning. You should
watch this video right now.
Yeah, like, they need to understand that it's not easy, and especially if you're a coach, right? And you're not a male only coach, and you're coaching everyone. You need to know how to work with both genders. Like, it's so important. You know, one of my coaches, he's doing a research on the one that I sent you to do. About female boxers, and their training in a male-dominated sport. You know, like, what issues do they face? Do male coaches even talk to you about certain stuff? It was actually about the menstrual cycle as well. Like, how well is it known to male coaches about the menstrual cycle? Like, do you even know what it is? Like, you know, so hopefully it'll be very interesting to read that research. But yeah, so I feel like it's very important, and I think the reason why we never had this before is because we didn't even have that many women before to be able to do something like this.
We literally spoke about this the other week, was it, when we were talking about in Lutadoras, like, what can we do and stuff like that. And I had to say it how it was. Like, we can't expect people to not take us seriously, but to hear us if we don't even make ourselves heard. Like, you can't be like, yeah, I'm all for this, I'm all for, I don't know, like, women speaking out and talking about being more represented and stuff like that, when you don't even want to actively do something about it. And we were all just having a conversation about it, and I was like, even the whole Fight for Peace asking us, what sports do we want to have other than boxing, female sessions in? And I had to say, like, I think it's important for us to stay consistent within Fight for Peace as women. If, for example, Silvino comes and says, okay, you can have a day for yourself just for the gym, I want us to consistently also be there. So we need to all consistently be there. And I feel like that's one thing that will definitely create that march of progress for females within Fight for Peace. That's what I'm talking about a lot as well. And even you can put this in terms of your environment. Like, don't just say things and do nothing about it. Do something about it so people can
Yeah.
take what you're saying seriously. Because if you don't prove yourself, all people are going off of his words,
Exactly.
basically.
And actions speak louder than words, always.
100.
But yeah, no, this relates to my last question. Like, what advice do you have to give to young girls who want to start or who's already doing this? I feel like you kind of already said
Yeah.
it, but is there anything
I've
else?
basically already. I feel like I'm saying what Star said. I was gonna say just do it, but
Just do it.
just do it. But I would say as well, like, believe in yourself. You know, as women, we have a lot of self-doubt, and we tend to think that if a room is not full of people like us, then it means we're not good enough. When in reality, there's a reason why, and it's because we as women don't usually put ourselves out there. So believe in yourself enough to put your foot through the door, but stay inside and not to go back outside that door and think that, oh, I can't do this, I don't believe in myself. You know, just small things like that is important, whether it's with sports, whether it's with life. Never letting yourself constantly have that negative thought in your mind and pushing yourself beyond your limit, because there's no such thing as a limit that you have without even realizing what your limit was to begin with. You know, you push yourself all the time and then you push that limit, then you keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, and you will definitely achieve what you want to achieve, regardless of your background, your gender, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. You can do it. But yeah, what about you?
My advice would be the biggest and the most hardest barrier into sports is taking that first step, just coming inside. So once you just step inside, you think that's the least hardest, right? But it's actually the biggest. So my advice is just take that first step. Take that first step, and then everything will fall into place. Coming in can be anxiety provoking, it can be scary, it can be worrying, you can feel excited, you can feel so many emotions, right? But you're never going to know those emotions once you've done it, you know? What is the point of you going through those feelings twice? You know, the first time you're just going through it with your head, and the second time you're actually just doing it. You're better off just doing it once, and that's by just coming inside the gym and just do it. Literally, like Sar said, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it, yeah. And we lack a lot of self-belief. And honestly, we are amazing. You know, we are amazing humans. I think women are better than men.
Oh.
And
look at Aladdin's face.
I think women, what I mean by that, I think women do go through like a lot of hardship and difficulties with just like life, emotions, hormones, and I feel like we are a lot more resilient than what you think, you know. Like, so really tell yourself, like, why do I not believe in myself? Like, what is the reason why, you know? And figure out that root issue, because once that gets solved, you'll be unbeatable, you know?
No one can get in your way.
But yeah, anyways, I can't believe like that's
the last
end
episode
of
this
the podcast
season.
But before we leave, we just want to say to you guys, thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for watching
these series. But also, Fight for Peace, we do women only boxing sessions every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. We also have a women's only group called Lutadoras, where LutaPod came about. Every Thursday, 7 to 9, and it's a safe space for women to come in, share their thoughts, be able to express themselves in a very comfortable, open environment with women. So
feel free to join, come through. It's not for a particular group of people. Anyone, of course, women can come. Bring a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. But yeah. Thank you. Bye. And cut.